What's going on, everybody? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and this is my show, Uncut Astrology, where I take off the mask and go deep behind the veil and give you this week's astrological forecast for the week of July the 13th through the 19th of 2016. And remember, if you share this video on Facebook, you can earn a free reading because I will pick from anybody who shares on my David Lawrence Palmer page, and I will actually do a reading on the back of this awesome notes for this week and send it to you via snail mail. I'm also doing a contest for a free VIP ticket to Hope in the Desert, my awesome conference in Las Vegas at the SLS Hotel, September 9th through the 11th. This is the last week to submit because I'm picking somebody this weekend. So Friday is the last day to submit. LeoKingEvents.com, click on contest. And of course, every day I do a video and more. I do 23 videos a week on the Leo King app, which is at your Apple or Google stores for your iPhone or Android, or you can get it at the LeoKingApp.com for your computer as well. Now, this week's horoscope. It's kind of broken into three sections, right? First section is, let's say, Wednesday to Friday. Second section is going to be the weekend. Third section is going to be Monday and Tuesday. First section is Mercury and Venus jumping into Leo. Now, this is really positive energy. Mercury and Venus are best friends of the Sun. The Sun is ruled by Leo, right? And the Sun has Mercury and Venus always next by. That's why whenever you look at your astrology chart, you'll always see Mercury and Venus right next to the Sun. So the best friends are Mercury and Venus, right? Plus, they do really well, right? Gemini, Libra go really well with Leo. It's just the way that it works. So to have the best friends in there, the sign of the Sun, is a very good signal that there's going to be a lot more positive energy coming. And especially as Mercury and Venus are going to conjunct this week. That doesn't happen until the third section. We'll talk about that then. But Mercury and Venus are going to be coming in the exact same position this week, okay? And so this means when it comes to relationships, when it comes to projects, news and communication is going to come into a much more positive degree. But during this first section, right, Wednesday to Friday, we do have the moon in Scorpio squaring this aspect. So even though there's all this hope coming, there's this deep, yicky frustration that's coming up with the moon in Scorpio. And this is the first time that the moon's been in Scorpio since Mars went direct in Scorpio. So guess what? The moon's going to come right over Mars on Thursday. And let me tell you, ultimate tests. Ultimate tests of really what you want and what you don't want in your life. You know, this is where you kind of go, you know what? I really am not into this. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't taste right. This doesn't look right. This doesn't make the king or queen happy. I want this out. This is yucky. But, you know, it's like, I think there's a realization that through this period of this week that we are awakening to learn to love things, even in icky situations. We are learning that, you know what, it's okay if something is just not desirable and to still love it goodbye and go love in a different direction into things that really we do love. You know, Scorpio is harsh. Scorpio is truth. Mars is in a really weird shadow period here. So it's coming up with our ego. It's coming up with our defining our wants, our needs. And so it's about having to learn to use this egoic kind of necessity of what you need in your life, what you want, which direction you want to go, and realizing there are some things that just aren't going to work out. There's some things that just don't feel right. There's some things that you just are frustrated over or don't want. And it's okay to send it love and move into more of what you do love this week. So the positive is this is about us moving more into very clear directions now of our fixed emotions, our fixed energies of what we want. Remember, the Sun is still in Cancer, and the Sun's going to be in Cancer this whole week, and these are at the highest degrees of the emotional degrees of Cancer. So our emotions are on high energy right now. We're kind of like really emotionally amped up. We're really emotionally supercharged, especially with a Mars station or shadow in Scorpio, the moon on top of it. And there's this suppression. There's this need to kind of like let our frustrations out in a more healthy way. Let our frustrations out in a more energy by giving light to darkness. You know, and you know what? There is no light without darkness. There is no darkness without light. And so this is kind of a week where we're learning that our darker shades of ourself, we can give love to. It's okay that, you know what? we're frustrated. It's okay that things are kind of not going the way that we want to exactly, but by realizing that the sun will shine onto this, that the light will beam onto this in some sort of way, that's all gravy, baby. It's all gonna work out. Learning to surrender is a very difficult task when you have a North Node in Jupiter and Virgo, and there's this aspect where it's like we get critical on ourselves. We got Saturn in Sagittarius. You know, there's all this energy that we just want our beliefs and our criticisms become extreme, and with Mars and Scorpio, it's easy to go dark. It's easy to go south, per se, with our energy right now. This is this Mercury-Venus conjunction in Leo saying, let's seed some positivity. Now, I want to bring up one little nerdy astrology fact. Remember last year, in June, we had Venus come into Leo. And it stayed all the way until I think it was late August into September, right? Because Venus did a retrograde in Leo. So we haven't seeded and finished the whole Venus, Leo, into Virgo transit that's coming. So over the last year, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to projects, we are now coming into the real zone here of where things are really about to start being understood. This is also Venus getting ready to come out of its dark zone, right? The dark 40-day, 40-night cycle as it switches from the morning star to the evening star. So relationship, project aspects, this week you will see a kick in a new direction, in a positive direction, almost feeling like there are blocks being removed this week. But when you have blocks, they're not fun to deal with, you know? They're not fun even with dealing with getting rid of the blocks. The reason why Mars is in a quincunx with Uranus, this is us trying to squiggle out of situations and without throwing a temper tantrum. Thursday's a day to really pay attention to because the moon's on Mars, it quincunx over to Uranus. This is about, freeing ourselves in a way that doesn't darken the world, but brings transformation, that brings light. This is us finding new ways to get out of weird situations and push through them. With all these degrees of Cancer at the high degree of the sun, and especially as it's actually squaring Uranus this whole week, it's like trying to ascend us. We have to rise higher. We have to ascend to a much more positive, much more beautiful, emotional way of handling our frustrations, handling our wants, our needs, handling relationships, handling projects when they're not going maybe the way we want or that we're not as satisfied as we want to be. How do we rise higher and go through it? How do we not suppress how we feel at the same time to where it bursts and it goes crazy? Because I think that what happens is we have to learn to accept and let everything in. And once we let everything in and we understand it and we accept it and we just say, you know what, this is the way that it is, and we put love to it and we move on, we don't go through crazy wild energies that can cause disharmony and panic and anger. This is really all about learning how to not put your belief, not put your directions, not put your ego behind emotions that haven't been fully thought out, that haven't been fully understood, and finding that there are lots of different ways to connect our emotion to a direction, to connect our emotion to a place that we can make more positive results by taking a breather, taking a moment, really looking at everything and then pushing forward and realizing that when the shit comes up, when the weird feelings come up that are coming up, because it is Scorpio, it is dealing with, scorpions coming out of their shit holes, right? And, it's like, man, that could be freaky. But how we can deal with it is a whole different story. Now, part 2 is this, SunSqUranus energy. SunSqUranus is teaching you that through ascending higher, you have to try something new. You have to rebel. You have to try going in a direction you haven't gone before. And the universe is kind of smacking our emotional energy on the head this week and saying, why don't we try a different way to react emotionally? Aries is the house of reaction. It's the house of war. It's the house of ego. It's the house of direction. Are we reacting to things so fast, emotionally, because the sun is going to also trine Mars this week, which means that through this energy, the second part of this week, this weekend, how are you going to react differently to situations by the way that you emotionally go? And with Chiron involved, with Mars trine Chiron this week and the sun, there's this grand trine energy happening. And this grand trine in the middle of the Sun-Uranus square is saying, hey, by maybe things falling apart, this is actually going to heal us and actually help us react differently and react our ways that we do, or heal our ways that we do react to situations in our life. This week is all about breaking through our own personal blocks of darkness. That's really what it is. And it's going to come in a three-part way. First part being loving situations better and understanding to love them more. Second part, if shit doesn't go the way that we want to, if it all kind of goes crazy, if the universe puts us in a different degree, if it puts us in a different direction, being okay with that and learning that if we react differently, that this is actually a new direction that's going to bring much more healing. Follow your intuition with that. Don't let the craziness, try and listen to the message that Spirit's trying to give you, that it's not working out a certain way. It's okay, because it's trying to take you in a weird direction. This is where the yellow brick road makes a hard right turn. Doesn't mean that the yellow brick road is over. It just means that it's going in a weird energy. You might meet Tin Man over there, you know what I mean? Because you already met Scarecrow. You still gotta meet Tin Man, you know? So sometimes the road of Scarecrow is gotta change to get to the road of Tin Man. I hope that one makes sense. That one might be, that's pretty deep right there. And the third part is this full moon grand trine Kite. It's a Kite full moon, people. Sun in Cancer, moon in Capricorn, grand trine happening with this beautiful energy happening with Chiron, Mars, and the sun. And with the moon then, of course, sextiling over to Mars and Chiron. So this is a grand trine Kite, full moon. Big one, people. This is about getting our traction back. Because Mars, even though it came direct, Mars came direct at a time that really wasn't very tractionable. It happened in a lot of water. It happened in a time where in air with the Gemini finishing up, like it wasn't the right time. So this last 2 weeks that Mars has been on, let's say, has been frustrating as hell. But Capricorn's coming in to straighten things up. Now, this is an old crusty Capricorn full moon. You know, it really is like at the very last degrees of Capricorn and the last degrees of Cancer. These are very high degrees of emotion and learning to get your butt into gear. And with Mars involved, with Chiron involved, this is a healing full moon to get back traction in your life. Realize that no matter how many emotions we go through, because you're going to realize by the third tier this week that you have been just on an emotional fucking roller coaster the last couple weeks. And that at the end of the day, the coaster always goes back to the destination of where it started. And Capricorn reminds Cancer that even though there are many colors of emotion to go through in your life, and with this kite forming, it's not an easy thing. Kites are hard to fly, right? You got to have the right energy, the right wind, the right time. You just can't go fly a kite at night unless it's a really windy night. You know, most of the time a kite has to come at a perfect time. This full moon's showing that this is a perfect moment that's predetermined in our lives. That you realize by Tuesday, by the end of this week, coming into the 19th, that holy cow, I can grab traction in my life by realizing that the plan always works, even through all the crazy emotions I go through. If I just stick with knowing where I'm going, and even though my emotions are taking me this way, my frustrations and all that stuff, you will get where you gotta go. The end result of this Uncut, the main message that I have for you this week, is that no matter how much crazy frustrations and darkness and depth and emotion and healing and all the... Now I'm starting to sound like the genie in Aladdin and all the world, you know, it's like that at the end of the day, the plan will always come together as long as you have one, I think that this is a reminder, like, do you have a 5-year plan? Do you have a day-to-day plan? Do you have a long-term plan? Windy roads happen. Emotional roads happen. You know, I'm just going to be honest, you know, dudes, we can hold our pee a long time in the truck, right? All the way, you know, on a long road trip. The ladies, a little different, you know. If you have a lady on the trip, you stop a little bit more. That's what this is. We are at an emotional time in our life where, guess what? We have to take little stops. We have to take little breaks. And you know what? That's not a bad thing. These have been good things. But it's that masculine ego part of ourself that gets pissed. Like, what? Hold it a little bit longer. I want to get where I want to go, you know? That's the problem with where we've been at. It's time for us to realize that these stops were important because they do make the turn from Scarecrow to Tin Man. They do make the turn from Tin Man to the Lion. They do make the turn from the Lion to Emerald City. And really, this full moon is about reaching Emerald City. And this full moon is realizing that you can get there no matter what emotional turn there is, just as long as you know you're going to Emerald City. So have you been distracted by the end goal, or have you let all of your emotions, your comforts, your needs, and your deep inner shit disrupt what the plan is, or even doubt the plan, or question the plan, or let some new belief come in that takes you off of it? There's a major T-square that's going to happen during this SunSqUranus. Do not, before this full moon, and this is another very powerful message, you know, transmission from Spirit, this weekend, do not be swayed by some new belief that you're going to pull yourself into, because this is a major T-square in the middle of SunSqUranus, in the middle of Sun trine Mars in the Grand Trine. This weekend is just a jumbled, like, whoa. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, like, oh, take this new belief and just go, oh yeah, this is the way it is now, and F this, and da-da-da-da. No. Let this very rare Kite Grand Trine full moon in Capricorn, even though it's got an old, wiser hermit kind of man involved, spiritually speaking, do not believe that you can't make it to Emerald City or your major goal. Just do not let that happen. Do not let whatever the events that happen into this week and this weekend sway you, or the frustrations that it's not going at the speed of light. Capricorn is a long-term way to get there, and we're having a double, even though we're technically not having a double full moon in Capricorn, the truth is we are, because we started this month. Remember when the sun was opposing Sagittarius in the moon, and we had it at 29 Sag, and then it went into Capricorn, and then we had 2.5 days of a full moon in Capricorn. You have to realize that this is going to be now basically 4.5 to 5 days in one 30-day cycle that we have had at full moon in Capricorn. This means that you have to take, you have to be a goat, and you need to climb the mountain, and sometimes, man, you got to hold on to that thing, and you got to go a little left, and then you got to go a little right to get where you got to go, and it's not easy sometimes. And if you let your emotions overwhelm you and take you in all these crazy places, and you forget, especially with Saturn square Neptune, and you let your belief system really take over, and you don't bring love to this equation, and you disbelieve in this Emerald City to be found, you're gonna realize that's been the whole cause of all your frustrations, and that no relationship, no project, no nothing can give you the true love that you seek except the love from deep within yourself and God that you have been tested on whether you can find this last couple weeks, and more importantly, whether or not you're able to truly deal with repression and darkness and bring light to it has been the ultimate test. We're not through it yet. We still got to get to the beginning of August when Mars leaves Scorpio. The good news is after this week, Mars gets off Uranus. I guarantee you there will be some crazy stories that come out Wednesday and Thursday. but don't let them sway your belief, opinions, and everything. See what Emerald City brings you on Tuesday on the full moon. And then when we talk on next week Uncut, we'll see what goes on. Hope that helps with everybody. Remember to share this video if you want to get a free reading, and to go to leokingevents.com if you want to get a free VIP ticket to my event in Las Vegas. Hashtag Hope in the Desert. And make sure that you check out the leokingapp.com if you want to get my horoscopes every day. Thank you so much for all the support. I truly love you guys. I'm sending an awesome prayer that you guys are all going to go into the most beautiful energy this week and find your Emerald City and find all your great friends. Remember that the turns get you to the friends, but don't let all the colors of your emotion color yourself in a color that doesn't define who you really are or where you're going. Thanks so much for all the support, and I will see you on the next Uncut.